Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy.
And I'm her daughter, Nikki.
And welcome to KiddieNomics. Thank you, everybody, today for joining in on the webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about credit for kids. Yay! We're super excited for our KiddieNomics guest expert today. Special guest, right? But before we get into our presentation today, let me just share my screen. I would just like to start as usual, just thanking all the frontline and essential workers for keeping us safe and healthy, right?
Yes.
Throughout this time. So thank you very much.
And the parents who are keeping us entertained.
And the parents that are keeping us entertained. Yes, yes, yes. So KiddieNomics is here to help kids ages 8 and plus to develop a healthy relationship towards financial literacy, helping to start kids off on the right path to have a successful financial future. That's what we want for you, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. So knowing, the more that you know, the better and more educated choices and decisions that you guys can make as you grow older regarding your finances. So let's get started with our special guest today. Our special guest is Curtis Mascall. Yay! So a little bit about Mr. Curtis. Curtis values constant learning, integrity, and hard work, especially on the golf course. He loves golf. Curtis has worked at Avco Financial, Canada Trust, Firstline Trust, AGF Trust, and TD Bank. Currently, he's the VP of Sales at Platinum. Curtis, I wasn't finished. You can't share your screen yet.
Oh, sorry. I'm so excited. I apologize.
Yes. All right. Well, that's okay. I will.
There you go.
All right. So let me get back to your bio because you want people to know about you, right? So he's currently the sales VP of Sales at Platinum Financial with over 2 decades of experience in the financial industry. He has learned that setting and revisiting goals is important for building for the long term. So we'd like to give a big KiddieNomics welcome to Mr. Curtis. So Curtis, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And there he is, everybody. Hi, Mr. Curtis.
Hello, everybody. Beautiful day. Finally, summer is showing up, and I'd just like to reiterate, frontline workers. Yeah, props to them. These are some trying times that we're going through right now. So thanks to them, and thank you for the audience that are here today. And this is a very important topic, and the earlier you learn it, the better for you financially. Stacy, I applaud you for what you're doing. This is tremendous.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, and kids, don't forget to have your books and your pencils ready to take notes on what Mr. Curtis is going to be teaching us today. So we're super excited to dive in.
All right. So kids, you got to remember, this is I'm technically challenged. So, and Stacy will tell you that, right? So I'm trying to get my screen up here. Hold on. I'm going to get it. Hold on. I am just trying to get files basics. Oh, it's disappeared now, Trace. Stace, holy shit. Hold on. There we go. Can you see it?
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on, it's up.
And kids, while we're waiting, don't forget, you guys can communicate with us in the chat box.
Yeah, I apologize. You know,
I monitor the chat box, so if you guys have any questions throughout, we are definitely here to help answer those, okay? Yeah. All right.
Okay, I can see it, but I can see you. I guess you're not seeing it from your end.
Nope, we can't see it, so.
Okay, I'll start. Okay?
Yep.
I'll try one more time before I start. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right, there we go. So you should be able to see it now, correct?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So as Stacy says, one of my favorite passion is golfing. So After I'm finished here, I'm going golfing, okay? But talking about the credits, it's important to understand there's five major parts or four major parts of credit. And we're going to discuss what is credit, what are the 5 C's of credit, why is credit important, and what can credit be used for. Okay. So credit is the trust which allows one party to provide money or resources to another party, wherein the second party does not reimburse the party immediately. However, promises either to repay or return the resources at a later date. Now, what does all that mean in a nutshell? So for one of your kids, let's say you wanted to buy this special Xbox and it was the best one in the world and it cost a lot of money and you can qualify for a loan, you'd go to the bank and you'd say, I need to buy this, and you'd give them the reason, and they would, and let's just say everything is working, they would approve you for that credit. Now you would be repaying that loan over certain months, weeks, or years. So that is what credit is in a nutshell. There's 4 common types of credit. So one is revolving credit. So what revolving credit means, it's like your Visa, MasterCard. You would have a limit. So the institution would give you a limit. And then on a monthly basis, you would make a payment on that card, or you can pay it off in full, whichever you choose to do. Now, revolving credit is not very good credit, but we need that in today's society. A charge card. This is like an Amex, American Express. Originally, what Amex was set up for is that they would set a limit. You would use that money on a monthly basis, and at the end of that month, you would pay it off. So that would be called a charge card. So there's no carrying balance. You can't carry a penny, a nickel, a dollar. It has to be paid off at the end of the month. Installment credit. So this one you may understand because we all see cars and live in a home. So that's where you'd go into the institution and they would give you a loan for a car or a mortgage, and you make that on a monthly basis. You can pay it weekly, and then it would be over a set term. So it could be 5 years, 3 years that you'd be making those payments. Non-installment credit is, for instance, your electricity, your hydro, your cell phone bill. You use that first, and then you pay for your consumption the following month. So an example of that is that I might have a cell phone for the month of July. I may have used, $200 worth of billing. So they would bill me for July to pay that for June's bill. Does everybody get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that simple enough?
So we did talk about mortgages a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And we actually did touch on auto loans also a few weeks, 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
just talking about assets versus liabilities.
Yep.
And what is an actual mortgage and how does that work? So to touch on that, if you guys have not seen the the mortgages for kids or assets and liabilities for kids, check out those videos. It goes into more detail as to what is an auto loan and what is a mortgage and how do they work.
Sorry, I was figuring that. So that's why I was just touch points on that part. Okay. So the 5 C's of credit is character, capacity, capital, collateral, and I put credit. And credit is overall, but it's actually conditions because we don't have control over the conditions. So I'll start with character. So character is the lending institution. They'll look at the individual and say, do they have the stability and are they reliable to repay this loan? Because no institution wants to lend you money and then have to collect it because that takes more manpower and time, and it costs them more to take back their resources. Capacity. So what that means is, can you afford to make those loan payments, including your living expense? So a lot of times what we forget is that we still have to continue living if we're going to borrow money. We still have to buy food, we still have to pay rent, we still have the car loan payments and what have you. So they look at that as, do you have the capacity to repay it? Capital. Now, again, you're getting into, can you afford? Oh, okay, sorry, my mom just came back. I apologize about that. So do you have the capital to afford those payments? So meaning you may have champagne budget, but you can only afford to buy beer. So the institution will not want to lend you the money to buy the champagne because you don't have the means to pay for that.
So the kids don't drink champagne.
No, I'm just using that as an example. I'm just using it.
So we'll just use another analogy, right?
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Juice.
Juice. Okay, yeah, juice, okay. And what's another good drink?
Yes.
And where was I? Yeah, and collateral. So now the collateral is the whatever you're purchasing. You're pledging that as the assets against your borrowing ability. So if you're going to the bank for a car loan, you're gonna use the car as the collateral of that loan. And then, like I said, the last one, I put credit in there, and most places will tell you conditions, but we don't have control over the condition in the environment. So it could be the interest rate is high, the economy is not doing well. So you as an individual do not have any control of that, but what you do have control of is your credit. So now if you're paying back your debts in a timely manner, definitely that will show up on your credit report. And I'll get into the credit report a little later on. Any questions? It's a quiet group.
Nope, the kids don't have any questions.
Why is credit important? And this is very important to me, and because I taught my kids at an early age that, you know, you've got to pay your bill. So building a good credit history is important for financial health. If you ever want to borrow money to purchase a house or a car, good credit can mean the difference of you getting approved or declined. So needless to say, if your credit's, like I said before, if your credit is poor and you go to get a car and the institution says, you know what, Mr. Mascall, yes, it looks like you've been at your job, you know, a long time, but you don't pay your bills on time. They'll deny me the approval of that car loan, okay? Now, regarding credit, there's two major sources that keeps and hence and tracks all our payment history as far as the credit bureau, because now who tracks it? So it's Equifax and TransUnion, sorry. These are the two major credit companies or credit keepers that track our payments. So they'll track what type of credit you have, how often you've paid it, do you pay it on a regular basis, and they keep all that. And then at the end of the day, they spew it out with a credit score. And just to give you an average, because this will not mean much to you right now, a credit score of 650 is average. A credit score of 900 is exceptional.
So Curtis, Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We have a few questions on the line.
Yes.
So one is, what is the example for an installment credit?
Yep.
And what are the 5 C's of credit again?
Okay. So I'll start with the example of the installment. So that the installment is a loan. So you're going to set, well, you and the bank is going to set a predetermined time, payment, and payment structure. So basically, most people will pay monthly, and it could be over 5 years, and you would pay it at the first of the month or the middle of the month, at the end of the month, but that's your contract. You're going to pay monthly for 5 years, and you're going to pay, let's just say for average, $100 a month. That's your installment, right? And your 5 C's, we'll get back, I'll bring it back on the screen here for you, is capacity. Capacity meaning that you can afford this to make this debt. Sorry, capital meaning that you're able to afford it and have your living expense in there. Character, you have stability and you're reliable. Collateral, you're going to pledge the item that you're purchasing for collateral. And then, like I said, I use credit, but most places will say condition. And the condition is how the economy is. Is it a booming economy? Is there people working? So those are stuff you don't have any control over as an individual.
So we have Amiga on the line, and she's just saying, can you go back to the 5 C's of credit?
Sure.
Sorry, Mr. Curtis. She's just saying that she doesn't understand some of the big words that you. So if we can.
Thank you for pointing that out, Tamika. Go ahead. So which?
You can break it down a little bit further as to like, what does character mean? What does capacity mean?
Okay. Yes.
Mean? What does collateral mean? And what does and then credit? Right? Just a little bit more, because the kids are ages 8 and up.
Yes.
So we gotta bring it down.
And that's fair enough. So go back. So reliability, or still, which one was the first one you mentioned? Sorry.
Just going back to the 5 C's of credit, breaking it down.
But there was a specific one she wanted. If you can read it, was it reliability or?
No, she just said she doesn't understand the
character. Okay, so character is like you're playing with your friends. You know, you have your friends, and you know what your friend's character is like. So it's like Stacy's known me for a long time. She knows my character. So that the lending institution is using the credit as to establish your character, stability, and reliability, if that makes sense to Tamika. So it's that, like, you know, you have a friend and you say, okay, this is a good friend, this one is not so good, and that's the character that they're looking at. They're saying, do you have the character to repay that loan that you're going to take? And they judge that based on your financial report or your credit report.
So all right, we will clarify.
Does that make sense? No, because it's important that they understand that. So it's, I don't mind spending more time. Like if that's not helpful, I can try another means. So
yeah, the kids are still having a hard time understanding. So let me help.
Okay.
Let me help there. So character would be like understanding your personality, right? And what does that tell you about who you are? So for example, if you take out your library book from the school, right? And you know that your library book is due at a certain day.
Like in 2 days.
Right. Your character shows whether or not do you bring back the library book on that day that it's due, or do you bring it back late? So, or do you forget your library book, or have you lost your library book, right? So your character is an example of the type of person that you are, okay? Let me know if you guys understand that for character. And then we're gonna go on to capacity. So capacity more shows along the lines of, let's go back to the library. And at the library, you're only allowed to take out,
1 book.
Well, let's just make it 3 books, okay, right? And you take out all 3 books, but when you get home on your bookshelf, you only have room for 1 more book, right? So you've now surpassed your capacity of what you can put in your bookshelf. So that's what capacity means. So capacity, when it comes to credit, is are you exceeding, or are you going past the room that you have necessarily on your bookshelf? Have you taken out more books than you can actually hold in your bookshelf? Does that make more sense for you guys? Let me know in the comments, okay? And then capital. So what is the capital? So capital, we talked about capital and income, right? A couple of weeks ago we talked about it through budgeting, we talked about it through assets and liabilities, and we talked about, in mortgages, and we talked about it in taxes, right? Thank you, Adonis, that makes more sense. Awesome. So capital is more along the lines of how much, on your library card, how much books can you take out? So that's your capital. So your library card, you're welcome, amiga. Your capital tells you, okay, well, your library card gives you room to take out the 3 books. That's your capital. And you shouldn't go past your 3 books. Your collateral now. Collateral is a really big word. A really big word, right? So collateral means that, are you, with your library card, are you pledging anything else to get the library card? So what do you need to do to get the library card? So normally when you go into the library, you show your ID, or your mom or dad signs you up for your library card.
Or you just pay for it.
No, you don't pay for the library card, it's free.
Oh, no, the book.
Oh yes, you could buy the book, right? But if it's your library card, what do you need to get the library card? So do you have to put something up? Like, do you have to pledge all your toys or all your video games to get your library card? Do you have to put something up to get your library card? Okay. And then credit is the whole thing that we're talking about. So credit is somebody, an institution, lending you something in a facility, like maybe a credit card that you've seen your mom or dad have. So a Visa card, there's a MasterCard. That's what we look at credit. And then your credit is actually reviewed, just like, you know, like when you hand in your homework and your teacher reviews it, and then they give you a mark for your work, right? Like you'll get an A, a B, or a C, or a D, or you fail. Hopefully you don't fail, or an F, right?
No
So
failure.
your credit is like that. So your credit goes to the credit card company, like your teacher, and they review how well you've done. And then they give you a score to show you, right? To show you how well you have managed the credit facilities that you do have.
But just like how it's always like it didn't work, it's declined. That's why.
Sometimes, like, if you go above your credit, right?
So it's like
just sometimes if you go above your credit. So you don't want to do that, right? So you want to get an A, right? An A on the work that you hand in, just like you want to get an A on your credit score. So an A on your credit score would be like 900. That would be like an A plus, right?
200 pluses.
that would be like excellent credit. So that's what you would, and then it goes down from there. So there's a B score, there's a C score, and that's what we look at for credit. And the credit agencies look at that to review exactly what does that mean for you. Does that make more sense, guys? Let us know, girls.
Great job.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Mr. Curtis, go on.
Where do you? So we're here. What can credit, is that where we left off? Yeah, what can credit be used for?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so credit can be used for almost everything, and I'm going to try to keep this real simple. So in today's society, more and more institutions are looking at your credit to determine if they're going to hire you, if they're going to advance you electricity, meaning your hydro, if you want to get loans, even as far as a job. So I'm not going to read, I'm going to give you the bullet points. So it's important that when you do start your credit, you pay it in a timely fashion on regular basis, or you pay it all off at the end of the month. So I'll give you some examples. So right now, when you go and you say you sign up for a cell phone, they're doing a background check on you. Landlords are doing a background check on you, because nobody wants to rent their place or give you equipment or set up bills for you that you cannot pay in a timely fashion, because like I mentioned before, you know, to collect it, it's time consuming and it costs the institution money. So in everyday life, credit is always important, that you have to pay it on time. And what I'll touch at the bottom part here is you need good credit to live comfortably. And that puts it in a nutshell. So if you have good credit, you can get better rates on your loans. You can get better rates on your car loan. You can get better personal loans. You can get better business loans if you have aspiration of opening up your own business. So those are extremely important items that you should look at as far as when you're managing your credit when you get there, because we will have to have it but it's how you manage it, and each individual does it a little differently. Okay, and I'll go to the end, and if anybody has any questions, and I'll look at this part, please, and don't be quiet.
Okay, so can we go back to that last slide? I'll just clarify a few things there for the kids. All right, so what can credit be used for? Just to kind of reiterate some of the things that Mr. Curtis has said. Okay, so for you guys, well, how many of you guys want to have like your first car when you're 16 years old? Or when you first can drive, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the first thing that you're going to look at that you want to get when you're able to get your driver's license and buy a car, because you guys have done all the savings and have been financially responsible throughout this time, working very hard.
Most important job.
Yes. So working very hard to save up to buy your first car. Well, let's suppose that when you're ready to buy your first car and the car is like $10,000,
More than
right?
that.
Right? Yes. But let's just say the car is $10,000.
It's a used one. It's a used one.
Yes. So let's say the car is $10,000, but you've only saved up $5,000. So now you need an extra $5,000 to buy the car because the car is $10,000. So what are you going to do? Oh my gosh. Well, you could go ask your parents for money, right? Nah. No? Okay. So if you don't want to ask your parents, what you would do is look at something about getting credit to buy the remaining amount for the car. So this is why it's really important to establish a really good credit history, so that if you do come across something that you want to buy that is more money than you financially have, you could get you'd be able to get the item that you want, but not just only get it, but you want to get it at a really good rate. You want to get it at a rate that is not way high, so that you won't be able to afford the monthly payments that it would take to buy the car, because you guys are going to use your budgeting plan, right? The budgets that you guys worked on to see how much you could afford to make on those payments, right? So that's what you would be looking at. The next thing that you maybe would need for credit is going to university or college, right? So we're going to talk about how we're going to save towards university or college, but just in case if you don't have enough money, because going to university and college is very expensive, and suppose you want to go to like one of the top Ivy League schools and the tuition is really high, you're going to look at getting a student loan. Remember we talked about that a couple of weeks back, what was good, a good asset or not a good asset, and what's a good a liability. So the good part of that is that you are investing in yourselves, right? So you're going to invest in yourselves to be super smart, right? But in order to do that, you may need some credit facilities to do that. So the liability of that would be getting a student loan, right? But at the end of your time at university or college, you're going to leave with a degree. And that is what you're going to use to earn more money to pay back the student loan, but to also have a really amazing life. And that's what we want for you guys. So that's some of the reasons why you need credit and what can credit be used for you guys. Yeah, you got it, Adonis. That's awesome. Do you guys have any other questions?
I have a question.
You have a question?
Yeah.
What's that?
So can you own the school for credit?
Can you own a school? So maybe like starting your own credit card company? That's what you mean?
No, like
or starting a bank?
No, like I mean like when when the school is already built and it has people in it.
Yeah.
Can you like buy the school?
You want to buy a school?
Yeah, to take it home so I don't have to walk to school or drive
home.
homeschool myself.
Well, you could just already homeschool because you've been homeschooling, and that's for free.
But to answer your question, yes, you can buy the school, and yes.
You need a lot of money, so you'd have to save a lot, and then you would need to establish a really good credit score, right?
So I'm going to go to that school. I need the school right now.
All right, all right. Okay. Is there any more questions on the line from anybody else?
You still have time for questions.
No? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Curtis. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. I appreciate your
You
time.
can
I
stop sharing your
appreciate
screen
keep up
there
the
so
good
that
work.
I can go back into, I'll stop it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So we're just going to kind of finish up. We would like to say, we always ask this question, what would happen if kids became more financially literate? And our answer is
real chance that impacts the world.
that's right. Because we think when you guys become more financially literate,
That
means
do whatever you want.
well, you get to make more educated choices and decisions that will positively affect you and give you a healthier relationship towards finances, so you guys can really try to go after any dream that it is that you guys want to achieve, right? So that's what we think, and we thank you guys for joining today. We want to just talk about what's the upcoming weekly schedule for our guest experts. Today was about credit. Next week is with Miss Billie Jane Bolton. She's going to be talking about saving for kids on Friday, June 26th. And then on Friday, July 3rd, will be RESP for kids.
RESP.
Yes. So RESP for kids, so that's awesome. And then we're going to have Scott Roberts. He's going to be back on. He did our first show with Stocks for Kids. So he's going to be on July 10th. So it's going to be like Stocks 2.0 for kids. So that will be super fun. And please remember, if you haven't seen the first one, please go back onto our YouTube channel to check out the first video for Stocks for Kids so that you're all caught up when we do 2.0 for kids. And then the following week on Friday, July 17th, we're going to do resume writing for kids. That's super important. I got my first job when I was 11 years old, and it was a paper route. And I know some of you guys may be looking for summertime jobs as summer comes up. And we want to talk about resume writing and what does that look like and how to write a really good resume so that you guys can land your perfect job, right? So we're excited for that one. And some good news. So we're going to do a contest alert. So we would like to encourage all of you KiddieNomics kids to participate in the weekly activities that we post after each webinar on our YouTube channel. So if you go onto each video, you'll see in the description box that there is an activity for that topic. So, but we haven't been seeing what you guys have been doing. So what we're going to do is the first 10 kids that tags us on KiddieNomics on using our Instagram or Facebook handles with a picture of the activity and also liking all of our pages. So we have Facebook, we have our YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, and we also have TikTok. You gotta like all the channels, and then I'll send you an electronic copy of the book that Mickey and I wrote called I Will Own a Castle. We wrote and published this book in 2017, and it's to help kids learn the value of saving and investing for kids ages 6 to 9 years old.
And it takes time for you to get to your dream.
That's right. So we would love to give out a copy of this book to 10 kids that do the activity. So either you're going to do like the budgeting activity. So you create a budget that you're going to do for over the summer, or you're going to do the assets and liabilities activity. We'll post an activity for today's credit one also. So you'll see that when we post it on YouTube. So that will be there shortly. But you got to do one of the activities and like our channels, and then tag us on, tag us using KiddieNomics, and the first 10 kids that does that, sorry, we'll get an electronic copy of I Will Own a Castle.
Nice.
So guess what? We want to hear from you guys. We have a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline with a lot of different experts. We are going to be here all through summer. We're going to keep on going with you guys to try and educate you for financial literacy. But tell us some other topics that you guys would like us to cover. We'd love to hear from you. And you can send me an email, or you can tag us on any of our handles, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, using the hashtag KiddieNomics.
And on TikTok.
And on TikTok. We'll post the video soon. Yes, I am trying to learn that renegade dance. Maybe somebody else can teach me.
I have confidence in you.
Yes, I know. I can do the other dances. It's just Renegade seems to be like the hardest. I can't do it.
She can only do like 2 dances.
I'm trying. But anyways, thank you guys for joining today. That's a wrap for us. Thank you, Mr. Curtis, for teaching us credit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week for Savings for Kids. All right?
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.